Hello, Queens. We're going to learn today about some top tips on how to have a winning interview. My name is Wendi Russo, and I am your interview pageant coach with The Winner's Way. And I want to talk about first your platform, how to communicate your platform in the interview. Well, because the interview is only a few minutes long, or maybe in 1 minute, you'll have to be able to tell the story really quickly. Think about past, present, and future. So the past is what caused you to choose the platform. The present is what you've been doing with your platform. And then the future is what you plan to do with the platform if you were to win the title. So get that down to a good 30 to 45 seconds so that you have time to talk about maybe a detailed plan or to allow for follow-up questions. Always gauge your interview based on how long the interview time is. So if you are in a system that has a 9-minute interview, then you have plenty of time to tell your story. If you're in a shorter interview time, say 3 to 5 minutes, you do want to make sure that the small questions, the ones that aren't important, you're not spending over a minute on those questions. And also, if it's a panel style, you want to make sure that you're allowing for judges to ask you questions since they're all in the room in front of you at the same time. But let's talk about the next thing you need to make sure that you do. Number one, if you're in a one-on-one interview situation, I want you to realize that each judge may not have time to even look at your paperwork. So don't expect them to know what's on your paperwork. You need to always be telling them the full story, the backstory, the why. So one-on-one, you might have to retell your story a few times because you're meeting with 5 different judges. Panel style. If they're all in front of you, you make sure that you answer towards the first judge that asked you the question. You can then scan all of the judges, including them into the conversation, and then wrapping it up with the main judge who asked you that question. So with it, I do personally not recommend a handshake, especially now with COVID. I recommend you just introduce yourself and your title unless it's being done already. When you're sitting, I want to make sure that you're sitting towards the front of your chair. You're not leaning back like I am. It makes you too relaxed and it makes it look like you're not that interested. So if you lean forward and your back is completely straight, I like having your hands on your lap but open, and then you can use them to gesture at the same time. So in your interview, I would make sure you have stories for everything on your paperwork. When you're filling out your paperwork, it's really crucial that it's easy to read, easy to navigate, and also does tell your story in some way. Now, depending on the system, you may want more brief answers so they can just grab a question and ask you about it. Could it be one word? Or maybe you want to give more detailed answers because you want the judges to be able to read it after you leave the room. So that really depends on the system that you're in. But the rule of thumb is you do not want paragraphs. You do not want to have all these full sentences unless you're answering the question of why you should be chosen or what platform would you promote if you were to win the title. Those are the 2 questions that I would give a full answer for. But all of the other things, hobbies, talents, awards, what you like to do in your free time, I would not be doing, I like to do blah, blah, blah. It takes up way too much time. We don't need to read all those words. You also want to bold your charity platform name, in my opinion. And you also would want to bold the name of the organizations that you work with for any charity work. It just makes it easy to glance at. It pops out at you and you can see it. You could do bullet points if there's enough room on your form, of course. We just don't know. So I do recommend that you really look at your paperwork, that make sure that it tells details. I really don't want to hear, love to spend time with family, or I like to be outdoors. It's too general and it doesn't tell your personal story. So make sure that you're really being detailed, not only on your paperwork, but in the interview room. So stories really help to bring everything alive. We don't know you when you're coming into an interview room, so you need to really tell us and make us feel the story. If there's a before story of why you chose this platform and what was going wrong, make sure you paint that picture well enough so we understand how bad it was. Then the good thing is you're bringing in the positive that you learned from the experience and you're turning that into your platform and helping others. So always make sure that if you have a really sad story to tell or there's some really horrible thing that happened to you, touch on it very lightly and don't get into too much detail. Then you can talk about how you used it as a positive. I've done that for all types of pageant competitors, all ages, and it works really well to tell a story. So I hope that helps you to create the winning interview. And until next time, I hope you continue to work towards your path of being on the winner's way. Bye, everyone.